Okay guys, welcome back. So in the last video I explained to you about Kirchhoff's laws and also how Kirchhoff's laws can be inserted, applied to various instances, and what is the use of Kirchhoff's laws, and what are the two rules and how the two rules behave according to the situation. Alright, so that is about the theory of Kirchhoff's laws. So in this video and the next video I'll be talking about two simple examples that might seem sometimes complex to you, but two simple examples in order to elaborate Kirchhoff's laws. So this is the first example, so that I'll be discussing in this video, and the next example will be discussed in the next video. Alright, so I'll take a simple example to be like this, right? So the question is like this: you have a 12-volt circuit like this, so 12-volt battery drive cell like this. This is 12 volts, right? This is 12 volts, and two resistors which are 20 ohms, right? Two resistors which are 20 ohms like this. 20 ohms like this. One resistor which is 20 ohms, and another resistor which is 20 ohms like this. And another two resistors are connected to these resistors, and one resistor is 8 ohms and the other resistor is 30 ohms, right? So here is 30 ohms, and here is the connected like this. This is the loop. So there are two loops, right? So this is 20 ohms. So this is one loop. So I'll write some data here: A, B, C, D, E. It's always better if you name the two loops in some way, right? It doesn't have to be A, B, C, D, E, F, something like P, Q, R, anything, right? Just to remember that. But that doesn't mean that it is useful for the calculation, but not to confuse, right? So if you write this, it will be, you don't have to write this actually, right? You don't have to write this, but so if you write this, it will be easy for simplifications, because you will understand as to which loop. If you have two loops, it's of no problem, but if you have 3 or 4 loops, you will get confused when you are solving as to which loop you put this, right? So if you have some names and if you have some configurations like that, you can easily understand as to which loop you can put. You have already applied the Kirchhoff's laws, and then you can apply the Kirchhoff's laws to another loop. Now remember, before solving this equation or solving this problem, in order to put Kirchhoff's laws, you can put Kirchhoff's laws only at one instance. Now, if you put Kirchhoff's laws in some direction, say if you took the ABEF loop, if you took the ABEF, so this is the first loop. The first loop, you can either put in the clockwise direction or in the counterclockwise or anticlockwise direction. You can't put the Kirchhoff's laws both in the clockwise and the anticlockwise or counterclockwise directions. So that's that's not a big thing, but what actually happens is that sorry, this is R4 is 8 ohms, right? This is 8 ohms. 8 ohms. Sorry. So what I was telling you is that if you put both in the clockwise and the counterclockwise directions, what actually happens is that you will get the same answer but with a minus sign. So that's actually useless, but that's not a law obligation that you should do, but that's actually useless. So always remember that to apply Kirchhoff's rules, either the first rule or the second rule, only in a selected direction. So if you put this in the clockwise direction, there's no rule or there's no law that you can't put this in the counterclockwise direction. You can put this in either in both directions, the same directions, both in the clockwise directions, or one in the clockwise and the other in the counterclockwise, or this one in the counterclockwise or this one in the clockwise. That doesn't have to be, the directions don't have to be equal, right? So what actually happens is that you can put in any direction, whether these two are in the same direction, clockwise or counterclockwise, or in different directions, clockwise counterclockwise or clockwise counterclockwise. You can do that, but that doesn't make any difference, right? You can do it. So what actually means is you can only put to a loop only once, because we are putting it in another direction. In another direction, what it actually happens is you will get the same answer. So remember it as a law, but it's not a law, but remember it as to be a law. Okay. So what I'll do here is I can now I can solve this two ways, right? I can solve this in two ways. What I will do, right? What I will do is that now you know that I'll take a current of I flowing through here, current I here, and when some current I comes here, I'll take the current to be that is going in this direction to be I1. So from the Kirchhoff's first law, you know that the algebraic sum around a junction, from the junction rule, that the algebraic sum of currents around a junction is 0. So if the total current around this junction is I plus I1, to neutralize that you will have to put take a current here I minus I1. So that is simply like losing the current. You lose the current, you add the current, right? You lose the current of I minus I1, so you add the current of I minus I1. So the total current around this point is conserved. So if this is I1 minus I1, this will also be I1 minus I1. So the current of I1 minus I1 will come here, and the current of I1 comes here. So again, according to Kirchhoff's junction rule, we can say that the current through here is I. Again here I. So you don't have to actually draw all these currents in this diagram. If you are proficient use of Kirchhoff's rules, you can only put the currents around the resistors, right? So I'm just, because this is the first problem I am explaining, I'll be applying all these currents and explain it to you. So what actually happens is that you can draw a current diagram like this, and then what I'll do is I'll put Kirchhoff's law to this loop in this direction. So if I consider A, B, E, F, A loop in that direction, right? So what I can do is that the internal resistance I'll take the internal resistance to be 0, right? Internal resistance has not been given in the problem, so I'll take the internal resistance to be 0. So what actually happens is that now if the internal resistance is 0, what actually happens is that the internal resistance is equal to the potential difference across the battery. So this is 12. So then you put in this direction, so that will be 20I, V equals I, you know V equals IR. So to find V, you know from the circuit notation that the total electromagnetic force around this loop is equal to the algebraic sum of the potential differences of the potentials around this loop. So the potential total electromotive force around this loop is 12 volts, because the internal resistance was taken as 0. So that should be equal to the individual potential differences across the resistors in this loop. Alright. So for the first resistor, the resistance is 20 and the current is I, so it's excuse me, the potential difference is 20 times I. And for the second resistor, again the internal resistance, the resistance is 20 ohms and the current through that is I1, so you should add that, so the potential will be 20 times I1. So you will be putting in the same direction as the current direction, right? Same direction here, same direction. So what actually happens is that you have to add again 8 times I. Alright. So you can simplify this. So you have two unknown terms, you need two equations. One you can put to this loop and the other equation to this loop. So you can get two equations, you have two unknown terms, you can solve those and find I and I1. Alright. So for the first equation I will solve this. So 12 equals 20 plus 8 is 28I plus 20I1. We can solve it further by 4, so that will be 3 equals 7I plus 5I1. So that is equation number 1 I will take. That is equation number 1. So for the second loop, I will again put in the clockwise direction, so you will not get confused. you will not get confused, I will again put in the clockwise direction. So for the loop, if I put in the clockwise direction, I have to take this direction, B, C, D, E, B. So B, C, D, E, B, you can put in this direction, right? So the current I am putting in this direction, so the current is in this direction, so it will be positive. So the total electromotive force is 0, because there is no electromotive force, because there is no cell. There is no cell, so the total electromotive force is 0. So what actually happens for this loop is that the current is in this direction, the current is in this direction, so this will be positive. So the potential across this 30 ohm resistor will be 30 times I minus I1. 30 times I minus I1. Right? Current across this resistor. Sorry, the potential across this resistor. And there's no resistor around this part, but for here you get one. But the current is in this direction, current is downwards, the current is downwards, but we are putting Kirchhoff's laws upwards, because we are putting in the direction of B, C, D, E, B means we are putting from E to B, E to B, E to B means we are opposing the current, so we have to subtract that. So that is, the resistance is 20, the current is I, so the potential difference across that resistor is 20 times I1. 20 times I1. Alright, so here is 30i, here is 30i, here is minus 30i1, here is minus 20i1, so that will be 30i minus 50i1, right? So this is 30i minus 50i1, I will take 50i1 to this side, this will be 50i1, so you can solve that, you can say I1 is equal to 3i by 5. So this is equation 2. This is equation 2. I1 equals 3i by 5. You can solve that. So you can substitute from 2 to 1. From 2 to 1 to find the value of I, and then you can find the value of I1. So I1 is 3i by 5. So 5i1 is 3i. So here will be 3 equals 7i plus 5i1. So I1 is 3i by 5, as I said before. So 5i1 is 5 times 3i by 5. So 5 to 5 cancel. That will be 3i. So 3 equals 3i, 7i plus 3i. So 7i plus 3i is 10i. So 10i equals 3 means I is equal to 3 by 10, which is 0.3 amperes. Right? So I is equal to 0.3 amperes. So for I1, I can say I1 is equal to 3i by 5. 3i by 5. So if this is 3i by 5, this will be 3 times I1, I, which is 0.3, we just found, divided by 5. So that will be 3 times 0.3 is 0.9. 0.9 divided by 5 will be 0.18. 0.18. So that will be I. So those are the two conditions that have been asked in this sum. So what actually happens is we have to find the value of I1 and I. So at I is 0.3 amperes we just found, and I1 is 0.18. So that is one way. In which we can find I and I1. Another way to find I and I1 is to take the equivalent resistance of R2 and R3. So R2 will be this one and R3 will be this one. So you can take the equivalent resistance, right? Equivalent resistance of these two, and then connect it over this circuit. So that's another way. So that I will not discuss in this video. What actually happens is you can take the equivalent resistance of these two, and then you can put the Kirchhoff's laws as well. So there are two methods to find the the solution from the Kirchhoff's laws. So that's about one example of Kirchhoff's laws. So in the next video I will be talking about another example of Kirchhoff's laws as to how we can find the currents using Kirchhoff's laws given the data. See you then.